All right, and
No,
we're live.
right. No. There is no getting it together. we're just as this is as good as it gets.
Daphne Leish, killer of dreams.
Well,
Add that to your resume. I had hope
that you could get it together. No, nobody gets it together. Nobody gets it together.
I'm just gonna eat edibles and imagine I got my shit together.
Right. Yeah, like kind of like fake it till you make it. You're just faking it until it wears off.
Oh my God. Good morning, everyone. It is September 30th, 2024. It is a fucking Monday.
Oh my God. Yeah, I had to like really, really remind myself. Like, I don't know. It's just like Mondays feel like Fridays. Fridays feel like Sundays. It's like
it all just mushes together.
Total chaos. I mean, really, it's just I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Really.
Oh yeah, and you're watching the Rage and 2 the vlogs, and my executive dysfunction is in overdrive today.
Oh yeah. Well, it is the end of the month. It's when the end of the month panic overlaps with the beginning of the month panic. So we're good.
You ready?
Absolutely not, but hit it.
Trigger warning, fuck you.
Ha!
Oh my goodness.
You.
Ha? Yeah.
Fuck you.
Oh my goodness. So who's joining? Who's awake on this Monday morning? Because God knows.
We got like Melissa and Joseph.
Oh, hello.
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. And yes, good morning, our beautiful eyeball people watching us from regions beyond. If you're watching us from Facebook, if you're watching us from LinkedIn, come on over to YouTube, join the sexy people in the chat. And while you're here, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live. You know how Facebook likes to act up. LinkedIn is LinkedIn, but YouTube is the best way if you want to converse with us live. And I don't know, do whatever you want to do in the chat, I guess, what people do. So I don't know.
Facebook's been okay,
right?
But I'm like I have an open case with them right now, so I have to be walking on
no, for real. It's like, oh, you had to get the ban hammer on them.
Yeah, it's bad because what happened was a glitch. Okay, so they restricted me for an art piece, a Rick Melton piece,
right?
Because it had nudity in it. But yet this is a piece that's okay to display on movie pages, on everywhere else. So I contested it. First they denied it. I contested again. They sent me to the Oversight Review Board. The Oversight Review Board came back to Facebook and said, no, she's not in violation of your terms of services. So they restored the piece. Problem is they did not restore the restrictions with the piece.
Right.
They demonetized my account and banned me in fucking groups. Like group posting, which affects my real world job.
Right.
So I had to contact legal. I need help. And now, which they've restored the groups, but the restriction is still on my fucking account. They have not removed it.
Right.
So which means like if I get something else, I could get fucking a permanent ban on my account.
Right.
And so yeah, now you got an open case with the
my
Nita versus the Zuck.
Oh no!
Yeah. Because as far as Facebook monetization, they make you jump through hoops and all this other bullshit.
Right.
Like, and you gotta bend over backwards to not only meet the terms of services, but be what they feel is advertiser friendly for them to boost your fucking content.
Right.
And I'm advertiser friendly to comics book people, but the rest of the world, fuck them. I don't mean shit. So Yeah, they don't particularly like me too much, and so like I have to be extra careful. So Facebook is working right now,
right? But right,
yeah,
well, it could be worse. You could have had a
also,
lawsuit with Boeing.
everybody look her up. I have an identical twin sister. Her name is Juanita Lanning. She does the exact same things I do on Facebook and social media. If you guys would freaking send her a friend request or a follow, that'd be great. Just in case.
Right. No, for real. Yeah, but like I said, it could be worse. You could be in a lawsuit with Boeing. Yeah.
No.
But Cormac McCarthy, one of the greatest authors of the 20th century, he has some words of wisdom for you that I hope will help and get everybody through.
Inspired you this morning.
Let's inspire. So Cormac McCarthy, words of inspiration this morning, as he says, "You never know what worse luck your bad luck has saved you from."
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope that inspires everybody this morning. You never know what worse luck your bad luck has saved you.
God.
Hello, everybody. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and a comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and you know what that means.
I have anxiety. That means I'm in my shell and have a hard time expressing myself. I find it difficult to engage with others. So everyone shut the f*** up because my anxiety is up here right now.
Accurate.
And I am known for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales, which returns to Kickstarter October 28th. October 20th, just checking my calendar again. October 28th with the first volume of Tall Tales, Tears of the Mother, which collects issues 1 through 4 of this 8-issue story arc. I am also known for my medieval fantasy drama, Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which also returns to Kickstarter early 2025 with issue 9 of this 16-issue series. You could also read Eagle Raven online at Webtoons, updating every Tuesday. And if you don't want to wait for anything and just want to pick up copies right now, you can head on over to my store. Link is on my website as well. So you can just already pick up either the first 2 volumes of Eagle Raven, which collects issues 1 through 4 and 5 through 8 of the series, or you can pick up all the individual issues up until issue 8. Just to get, just get it from the store if you don't want to wait for the campaign. You can also read both my comics online at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, and Tall Tales, TAILS online.com. And you can check out all my videos on how I make my comics here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage Art, which also simulcasts through the Indie Comics Network. And to tell you more about it, here's Nita.
I have anxiety. Me too. My name is Nita Lanning, and I have the Google account that runs the Indie Comics Network on YouTube. You can find it at indiecomicsnetwork.com. We try to bring you daily comic-centered stuff.
And stuff. And where can they find it?
indiecomicsnetwork.com.
It's .com.
Cut.
Oh my god. Yeah, so following the theme, I'm wearing my Hamsar.
You love it.
Yeah, so I'm raised by a cup of coffee. So and I swear it was more innocent days on the internet back then. So it seems like now we're in that kind of like that fall, that transitional period between summer and fall, where it's like it can't decide whether it wants to be too hot or too cold, or that could be just me.
Oh my god. So the other morning, Alexa goes off, we got a cool front because of Hurricane Helene, which like fucking horrible. But anyway, for us, it actually made the weather nice. So Alexa goes off and starts telling us the forecast. And they're like, good morning. It's 69 degrees. I was dead ass asleep and barely heard it. And I started laughing in my sleep.
Nice.
Like, what the fuck?
It's nice outside.
It was 69 in the morning and fucking 92 by the end of the day. But like,
not nice.
It's fucking, but it is starting. We're seeing some fucking relief finally from the hottest fucking summer ever.
Really, because it's like, I mean, because right now for the past couple of days, open window, close window, open window, close window. It's like, Jesus Christ, just pick a setting,
pick a season, season.
Exactly. You know, and it's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, so it's just kind of like getting over like, okay, is it hot today? Is it cold today? Should I wear a shirt? Should I wear a tank top? I don't know. It's like, and it's like, you know what? Fuck it. It's t-shirt weather again. It's like, look, I'm upset that now I have to wear pants on the regular. Now it's like it's no longer short season.
I have clothes on.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like next thing you'll know, I'll be having to put socks on. You know, I mean,
this
it's
nonsense.
Like, what is this? This is, you know, war crimes, I swear. You know. But in the end, that's kind of what it is. So so as I had mentioned, we are in that lovely time of the month where the end of the month feeds in to the anxiety of the first of the month. So what's what kind of like what do you go through when we hit like the end of the month and the start of the month? I mean, do you have any special rituals that you
not really invoices? That's the only thing that's different than any other time of the month. It's time to send out invoices so people can give me my monies.
Right. Yeah.
That's about it. Because other than that, it's like it's contingent on launch dates, fucking closing dates, deadlines that are sporadic, spread out throughout the month. So it's like it's all a blur. It's all a blur.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, it's like, I don't know, like September was kind of like a weird month for me. You know, I had a lot of personal nonsense going on, although you did visit, and that was like really fun.
Right.
I just wish that we didn't have nonsense kind of getting in the way of it, but
it was okay. All right.
Yeah.
We still had fun.
Yeah, I think
we ate well.
That we definitely did. That's for sure. That's for sure. And you know, so I think it's like sometime in August I had finished penciling Ego Raven, all 16 issues, and my intention was to pencil Tall Tales issue 7 in September. And I kind of started doing that. I kind of like got most. Today is just one big fucking yikes. Yeah, I agree, Melissa. You know, and it's like, you know, I got like kind of like the first page kind of done, kind of penciled, but I just couldn't. I don't know. It's like I couldn't get the momentum that I wanted to actually pencil the rest of the issue. And I thought maybe it was because it was the stress of the nonsense, that it's just like, you know, it's just like, you know, it's kind of like, unfortunately, that moment when personal stuff does get in the way, and it kind of like fills my brain up that I can't kind of like move on from it. I mean, it's kind of getting better now, but yeah, I just could not get myself to sit down and actually draw, you know, to draw those pages. So, and I was like kind of fighting it for a bit. And then I just kind of realized, it's like, okay, you know what? It's like, it's like maybe fighting the issue is not really what I need to do. It's like, what happens if I just maybe did the opposite and stepped back? You know, what's going on here? It's like,
take a breather.
Right. Take a breather. And in the end, I think that's kind of what I needed to do. That it's like, I had been working, like, I don't know, for 5 months straight, penciling Ego Raven, like just trying to get it done, like really, really
in the machine.
Yeah. And when I finally finished it, It's kind of like I said, it's like brain went empty. It's like I hit a brick wall. It's like, oh, I'm done. I'm gonna like stay in bed for like the next month and a half. And I guess my mistake was that I tried to like take the momentum from Eager Raven and transfer it over to Tall Tales, when in the end Tall Tales needed its own momentum.
Right.
And that's kind of the reason why, and I guess that's kind of the reason why I just couldn't like get past that page 1. So in the end, I just decided it's okay. You know what? Maybe I do kind of like need to take a breather, do something different, and then regroup for October and get back into it. Right.
Right.
And so that's what I kind of did for especially the past 2 weeks. I just grabbed one of the Kickstarter books that I didn't read. So I grabbed one of those. I started reading. I read that. I'm reading. It's like I was just like, whenever it's like I was just reading. And then by reading, I had this really this hunkering to write. So I've just been doing that. I've just been writing. It's like I'm almost done with chapter 10 of the Eager Raven novelization. It was a really difficult chapter to write because I was essentially writing a hallucination. Like this particular episode, this particular chapter, it's like a lot of it is just characters hallucinating. And it was just like, oh, this is actually a lot harder to write than I thought. And I realized, like, maybe I should finally read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas while I'm at it.
Did you?
Like, I have that next on my list.
Nice.
I bought it. I have it next on my Kindle. So I'm currently reading something else now. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's like, you know what? It's like, like just to kind of like, you know what? Maybe that's kind of like what I just have to do. So yeah, because it's really funny because it's like, so we watched the Terry Gilliam movie years ago. I barely remember it, right? But we had ended up going to our first Las Vegas trip like after that. And I ended up inadvertently doing a Hunter S. Thompson tour in Vegas.
Nice.
Like it's like, oh, let's go to Circus. It's like it is the most Circus is probably like I don't know if they tore it down yet or something, but that has got to be one of the grimiest casinos. Now, it's a really, really grimy casino, right? And it's like, oh yeah, this kind of fits the theme. This kind of fits it, and it's like we went to the desert and it's like it was just really like, just really funny. And I remember putting together kind of like a Vegas slideshow / CD-ROM for my mother so that she could see she could like it. Like I've never made anything like this again. It was literally like I put our Vegas trip in website form and I put it on a CD so that my mom could click through it and see what we did every day. And it was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas themed. I was the only one who got the reference, but I mean it was like a whole thing. Like there were hidden messages in the pictures, like you had to hover over them and get the secondary screen. I mean, it was just like I've never done anything like this again, but it was just really funny. So I had to write this hallucination scene, and I go, you know what? I really should read some Hunter S. Thompson. I'm sure he'll fit in quite well in between all the alien smut books I've been reading lately.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he'll fit right in. So it's like, So now it's like, so for today, like the first thing I started doing was I started like prepping my schedule for October. Cause I go, you know what? This is kind of like what I do every month anyway. It's like, what do I have to do? What do I have to get done? How am I going to schedule this? Right. Just kind of like put myself back on track. It's like, okay, I've had the 2 weeks to kind of like do everything else but that. So,
right.
Because especially now that like House of Bob is being printed right now, and I have like 30 something commissions that I have to get through. So I really need to put myself on a schedule to make sure all of that gets done at so that I'm done by December. So yeah, so that's kind of like, so right now what I have for October is that I want to start inking Eagle Raven 9, and I have to do Tall Tales issue 7 because those are going to be don't forget thank you. Hey Rob, like
morning, sir.
Like because Eagle Raven 9 and Tall Tales 7, those are going to be my first books for next year for Kickstarter. So now it's like, okay, I have no choice but to finish these books. So it's like whatever hangups I have, I got to kind of like throw those out the window because I need to get, if I want to follow, if I want to have a smooth transition into 2025, I need to get these 2 books specifically done. Technically I would need to get Tall Tales 8 as well, but you know what, if I only, because my original plan was to do both issue 7 and 8, Tall Tales 7 and 8 in one campaign, but I decided I'm not going to force it. It's like, look, I don't want to rush through any books, getting books done for the sake of getting them out. So however it happens, it happens. If I'm just doing one Tall Tales book on a campaign, that's just what it's going to be. But yeah, so Eagle Raven 9, Tall Tales 7, they absolutely have to be done before the end of the year. And then I have my 30 commissions, right? And then it's like, yeah, and then it's like fulfilling,
where there's a whip.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like getting House of Bob fulfilled, and then I still have a Tall Tales campaign on top. Oh, I forgot. I don't know if I showed it on the last show. I think.
Oh yeah. I don't think you did, but you showed me.
Right. Okay.
And even if you didn't, you're going to see it again.
Right. Exactly. Because I already have the proof for Tall Tales Tears of the Mother Volume 1, which is, this is the campaign that's going to launch October 28th. So this is issues 1 through 4 of the Tears of the Mother story arc. It's an 8-issue limited series. Well, it's an 8-issue story arc. And I already have the proof. It's pretty much ready to go. I know this is the never-ending cover that I was working on for the past like month and a half, trying to get done, but I think it came out beautiful as always. And so I'm committed. I'm committed in more ways than one. But this is the proof to the Tall Tales campaign. So like I said, it will be launching October 28th. The pre-launch page. Oh, that's what I forgot to post. The pre-launch page for Tall Tales is live. The link is in the show notes, so you can click on the link in order to get notified when the campaign goes live. Hold on, let me actually put that in there. Hold on, let me put that. Okay, so so I'm just putting the Tall Tales link in the show notes. But I am just really chuffed to have another trade paperback to put on the pile.
It made it this much bigger.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, especially if you put like all the Eagle Raven and House of Bob stuff there, the stack is like this big. I'm not even going to bother taking all the comics out. You got, I have photos of it on my Facebook page. So also something that I was like playing around with, especially for House of Bob, was because I have all this original artwork, I was just playing around with the idea of putting a watermark kind of on the back of the paper. So like this is the actual paper that I'm going to be using, right? The Strathmore 300. But I wanted to put something on it that would brand it as a House of Bob piece. The first time I did House of Bob, what I had done was I had created a customized frame kind of similar to this that said, "Thank you for supporting House of Bob." Right. And then it would have the logo there, and then it would have, you know, the image, and then I would sketch in the piece. But I had some people actually say, it's like, oh, you know, it's like, can you get rid of the watermark? I really don't like it there. I like the artwork itself, not the watermark on the front. So this time around, I'm playing around with putting it on the back. I have a smaller Pixma printer that I can run these through. Like I have my oversized one that's right here, but I don't know, like running small pieces of paper through it just seems kind of weird. So, but I have a smaller Pixma, Canon Pixma Pro in the other room. So I'm able to put like smaller pre-cut Bristol through it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to like brand the back of it, and then the front is where I'm going to do the sketches. So that way, if you just want to frame it and just want to have the artwork, you don't have to worry about the watermark ruining it for you, because that'll be on the back. And at least this way, if you kind of like forget where you got the piece from, the watermark's on the back, so you know, so you remember, you know. So I was playing around with that. You know, so it's like, yeah, so it's kind of like, yeah, it's just this overall like preparation. But the thing is, though, at least now it kind of feels like, okay, I'm getting ready to work. You know, it's not like before where I kind of like fizzled out and I just couldn't get started again. But not this time, it feels like, all right, now it's time to get serious. Now, okay, we had our little vacation, you know, kind of like, you know, rested. Now it's like we have to get back on track with that, because it's like, I mean, even though this is
having got our shit together, winter is coming.
No, for real, exactly. Yeah, winter is coming. And you know, and it's like, you know, yeah, so it's like this, yeah. So HR, I really do, you know, because even though this is essentially a monetized hobby, okay, I know I've said this before. Is this it's like, oh, this is a business? No, it's not. You know how I know? Because my accountant said it's not a business. It's like, at best, I have a monetized hobby. And I think that a lot of people would solve a lot of their problems immediately if they just admitted that's what they had. You know, I mean,
trying to portray themselves as business moguls that they aren't.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's like, yeah, because it's like, you know, we've seen, it's like, you know, that's always like the first advice they give to each other. It's like, oh, make sure you make an LLC and blah, blah, blah. And like I said, when I brought that up to my accountant, she says, "Are you making a salary? You're not making a salary to pay yourself."
Right.
You know, so it's like an LLC is a waste of your time, and all that's going to do is put you on a business schedule you have no business being on. You know, because there's I mean, especially in the state of New York, there's a lot of like payment schedules and all that you're required to do when you're registered as a business. And she's like going, that's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your time, and you don't even make the money to justify it. So yeah, so ever since she said that, it was kind of like, you know, a weight lifted off my shoulders, because I always kind of had that nagging at me. And you know, and it's like, look, you know, it's like you can still do deductions anyway, you know, for what you are, you know, so it's like, you know, you're not really gaining much in the position that you're in.
No.
And and it's like, and like I said, it felt like a weight lifted off of my shoulders, because now it's like, people go, oh, you should it's like, no, my accountant didn't recommend it. My accountant recommended against it. And then it's like, what are you going to do? Argue? It's like, if you want to argue with my accountant, so yeah, so it's like, it was kind of like, so it's kind of like, no, this is just a monetized hobby. But just because it's a monetized hobby doesn't mean I don't need structure.
Right. No, it still needs to be taken seriously if you want to monetize it.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's still monetized, but it's not a business, but I still need the structure. And I'm not going to say the structure of a business, because it's like, I'm not, it's like, it's useless for me to think like that. It's like, no, I need the structure to get the work done, to accomplish the goals that I'm looking at, i.e. putting out Kickstarters during, and in a certain amount of time, in order to get these stories out. Because in the end, that's kind of, even though it's, I like it when it makes money, and it does help pay my bills, or it does pay my bills or whatever. But, in the end, the structure is more about getting the story out, getting the story told, and it's like, and getting it done so that I can get the story out. The fact that I'm able to make money on it is a bonus. But I still need to force that structure. Well, not force, but I mean, I guess in a
have that structure.
Yeah, you kind of are. You kind of do have to force yourself. Like I think, I don't remember if it was you. I think you posted a thing about how you have energy when you exercise, but you need energy to exercise, right? It's like, so how does that loop work? It sounds like a pyramid scheme.
Right.
But the thing is, though, this is like a real thing. It's kind of like the whole, you need to do something, you need momentum. But the irony of it is, like, until you start doing that thing, you won't get the momentum. Like, it's kind of like waiting for motivation. That doesn't happen. It's motivation follows action, not the action follows the motivation. It's actually the other way around. I mean, that's that's kind of the scam of it. If there's something you don't want to do, you actually have to do it to build the momentum.
You're welcome.
To build the momentum to actually continue what you're doing. So so there does come a point where it's like, you just have to decide, you know what, I'm exhausted, I'm going to hate this, but I have to do it. And then once you start doing it, then all of a sudden you have the energy to see it through. So if my goal is to see this story through. So I have to put together a schedule for it. And I have to include all of these commissions in, because it's like, I don't want to be that person that makes everybody wait a year and a half for commissions that they ordered on a Kickstarter. I mean, it's like, look, I made that mistake once. I think the longest I've ever made somebody wait for a commission was 5 years, and I swore never to do that again. It was a combination of, I literally was not getting my shit together.
Right.
It's like, but I did eventually finish the commission, and I swore after that I was never going to let that happen again. Now, mind you, the only reason the guy didn't get mad at me was because we kept him up to date the entire time. The whole 5 years. Like, it's like I would do like a little sketch here, a little sketch there. It's like, oh, this is what I got so far. And it was just a very slow moving process. And like I said, I swore I'd never do that again. So that's why, like, the end of the month, the beginning of the month, the end of the year, the beginning of the year is kind of like hectic times for me, because that's me like going, okay, it's time to stop fucking around. Let me get my schedule back in order.
Right.
So So yeah, but I really do think though, but my point that I was really trying to make in the middle of all that was that I think that a lot of people would solve a lot of their problems if they just admitted what they have as a monetized hobby and not a business.
Right.
You know, I mean, just because you have an LLC, just because you're registered, doesn't mean you actually have a viable business.
No, it meant you had $150 to spend.
Right. You know, I remember back in the 90s, this was back when I guess like at the rise of Sean Combs as Puffy, as P. Diddy, as whatever, before the prison version of P. Diddy now.
Before that,
before
prison
that.
party.
But back then when he was like really rising to prominence, there was like this really odd trend, because I used to work in a print shop back then too, right? And there was like this really a print shop. It's like I was working at a fucking Kinko's. Let me not like try to build it up bigger than it is. I mean, I have worked in actual print shops, but this was at a Kinko's. You know, and I was seeing there was a trend of a lot of people coming in getting business cards that said whatever bullshit they had, CEO underneath it. You know, it's like no matter what it was, you know, it was almost like that scene from American Psycho, where it's like everybody is just showing each other the same card. It has a watermark. It has a watermark. You know, it's like, you know, I mean, it was kind of like that. I mean, then again, it was kind of like around that same time. You know, so it's like, so people were like introducing themselves as CEO, as I'm the CEO of this, or I'm the CEO of that, when really it's just they just had an LLC, right? For whatever bullshit that they were doing. And then it's like, oh, I'm the CEO. You know, and you know, it's like the only difference though is that they actually tried to play the part back then. It was more noticeable how they tried to play the part, like they would wear the suits and everything. Oh, I'm the CEO. Meanwhile, it's like they're still, you know, living with their mom in an apartment doing whatever the fuck they were doing, you know? I mean, but they had the suit on, like they would try to play the part, right?
Well, it's because the C, it's the fake it till you make it, and then the C title. There was a big trend that the C title meant something,
right? Yeah,
and so even in the beginning when we started, Meredith and I went ahead and merged and started a business. She was big on wanting to use C titles too,
right?
Because when you have that on like certain emails or whatever,
right,
it means something to some people, and especially as women trying to break into a male-dominated industry, it was something that she felt we should do. So I mean, it's like everybody's doing it,
right? But that I saw that trend die out too. You know, that it's like, nobody does that except weirdos.
No, now when I see it, it's like so cringe.
You know, like when
that
someone
was 5 years ago.
You know, that it's like if somebody introduces themselves as a CEO, it's like really, bro.
I could never do that. I could never.
I could never do that. Oh,
I'm like, I can't even be like professional. No, I just get paid to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, like even the word professional doesn't really mean anything,
right?
You know, because like that's a word that always like Jose makes Jose cringe every time he hears it, right? Because it's like look, you know, it's like, oh, but they're a professional, and he goes, a professional what are they professional, you know? Oh yeah, exactly, you can get cards printed at a machine. Yeah, you know, at the local train station. Yeah, exactly.
And now you can just do it at home.
Right, exactly. You know, you know, and it's like a professional what? It's like, look, just because somebody is a professional artist, doesn't mean they're a professional business person. Right. You know, it's like, you know, just because someone is professional enough to understand they have obligations with Marvel or DC, doesn't mean they're not going to run off with your money when you come commissioning them. you know,
and
type
I've
of
seen
thing.
that
You know?
happen.
Right,
I've
exactly.
seen it happen. We had a pretty well-known fucking DC cover artist bitch out on a fucking project.
Right. You know, I mean, so it's like, yeah, so professional is relative.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, just because you're good
They're
at
professional
following.
with them.
Yeah, right, exactly. They're professional with them because there's real world consequences of not being professional. There's no consequences for jerking around an indie creator.
And yeah.
So
somebody who wasn't invited to the Diddy party.
Right, yeah, exactly. You know, it's like, look, you know what's funny? They weren't invited to the Diddy party either. You know, it's like, you know, so you know, so it's kind, you know, so yeah, so kind of like, you know, the word professional doesn't mean anything. So on a certain level, the word business doesn't mean anything either. Oh, I'm a entrepreneur, I'm a business owner. It's like, yeah, okay, boss, okay. Meanwhile, they're struggling just as much as the rest of us. You know?
Right.
The only difference is that I don't have an LLC after my title, you know? It's like, you know, you're having a hard time just like the rest of us. What do you mean you're a CEO? Give me a break. You know? You know, so you know, so yeah, so it's just like, I don't know, it's just kind of like little random things that was popping up because now it's like I'm kind of like trying to like focus on what I have to do. And also like another thing, you know, that I was like just really thinking about that it's like, oh, because there was, I don't know, like I said, it's like I'm just being really random today. But it's like there was this little cartoon that I sent Nita of this walrus, right? And this little walrus was like going, oh, the only thing that you need, you know, to live your dreams is money. lots of money.
Lots of money.
Lots of money.
Make it rain.
You know, yeah. And it's just like, you know, and it's true. You know, it's really, really funny how many problems that we have that could completely be solved by money. You know, but like, you know, so I just thought that cartoon was funny, but also it's like, you know, I just kept thinking about the fact that, you know, yeah, when you have money and you're able to push through marketing in a way that pretty much only money can do for you, you know, and then it's like you're able to like more quickly build that audience that'll support you. Right. It's just really funny how when you have that foundation, rules really don't matter. You know, like yesterday I was listening a little bit to Jose's show, and you know, and they were like, there was, you know, some guys talking about, like I said, I was listening, I wasn't really paying attention to it. I just caught like a little bit of it. And he was talking about like all the rules about like how to do things on Kickstarter. Oh, you got to fund really quickly. You got to do this. You got to do that. Don't launch on holidays. Don't launch on weekends. Don't do this. Don't launch on a Tuesday at 7:45. You know, that kind of, you know, like those rules that we literally followed to a T at the very beginning of it. Right.
Right. Well, yeah, two of those are true. Don't launch on a holiday. Don't. Right. Don't do it. Right. Don't do it. And yeah, and I forgot the other one. What was the first thing you said?
Fund really quickly.
Yeah, you have to fund. We have noticed that trend. We have noticed that when you fund in the first 48 hours, right, those tend to fund higher.
Right. You know, but then it's like, because I was kind of thinking, it's like, you know, what's funny though? It's the same thing with the rules of YouTube, right? That one of the early rules of YouTube is that they said, do not do what the famous, you know, like the really popular. Pretty much what they were saying, the rule was, again, counterintuitive. Don't do what the successful people are doing. Because once you reach a certain level of audience retention, and I guess, you know, not to say success or maybe that is your barometer for success. But really what they're talking about is once you reach a certain level of audience retention, the rules don't apply to you anymore.
Right.
You know, you don't need to use hashtags. You don't need to put in descriptive titles. You don't need to like, oh, don't post videos during this time, or you have to, it's like, no,
right.
Once you have a certain level of audience retention, the rules don't apply to you anymore. You know, you can do whatever the fuck you want and your audience will be there for you. You can launch on Christmas Day and you will fund, because you have that level of audience retention that'll support you no matter what you do, that they will pop up the second you pop up. Right. And that was just like something really funny, that not in a haha kind of way, but it's like, just kind of like, wow, it's like, you know, audience really is everything. You know, if you have an audience, you can, like, the rules don't apply to you at all. You can do whatever you want.
So in the beginning, create content to fucking foster loyalty, build your base.
Yeah. You know, that the quality of your audience, it really does determine the quality of what you do. I mean, it's like, mind you, you have to come to the table already presenting a certain level of quality. This is kind of like a thing that me and Jose always kind of like butt heads on, but it's really funny. Well, yes, that is a little different. Yes, you want your eye surgeon to be like the other successful eye surgeons. Yes. Yes, that I agree with, that there does come a point where success follows success. But this is kind of not the case, you know, when it comes to like selling comics. At the time when it comes to posting YouTube in this context, posting YouTube videos, right? It's like, yes, you're supposed to, like, yes, there is a benefit to seeing what successful people are doing, but you always have to be wary of survivalship bias, right? And the fact that the higher the audience retention, the more the rules really don't apply, right? And like I said, it's like, this is what kind of like what I was thinking of, right? And it's like, yeah, well, the thing that me and Jose, you know, because it's funny, we butt heads on it, but a lot of times we're switching to opposite positions on the thing, right? There used to be like there would be a point where Jose says that story is everything. Story is everything. You can't do anything if story is anything, right? If your story sucks, right? But at the same time, and then I would argue, no, how many shitty books do we have out there that sells just on the benefit of artwork? On art alone, right? You can't read them. Nobody's buying these books to read them, yet they're in the top 5, you know, whatever. Right. But then there are days where I'll argue story is everything. You want longevity, you need story. And then Jose will come out saying, no, you don't need longevity. You don't need story. There's shitty books out there surviving without story, making bank without story. Nobody buys X book because it's a brilliant story. They buy X book because they know this character and you know, and it's like, it has nothing to do with anything. But it's just funny, like depending on when we argue, we actually shift those opinions, right?
But no matter what, it's still story, because the art has to help tell that story, right? Because it's comics.
Well, that's true. I mean, logically, yes.
It's all
that
story.
If you're doing comics, that your story and your art has to work in tandem. If you just want to write a book, write a book. If you just, you know, if you're just going to do pinups, then just do pinups,
right?
You know, but if you're doing a comic, they both have to work together. But what's the common denominator? Audience retention,
right?
If you have the audience that supports your book, regardless of how shitty the story is, then it doesn't matter. You know, I mean, it's like, if they're ride or die for your book, it doesn't matter. You know, just like if, you know, it's like, yeah, could you retain them long? I mean, it's like, you know what? Honestly, I'm at a point where I'm not even confident enough anymore to say if your story, like you need a story to have long term. You need to write well to have long term success, right? And I'm not even confident I can say that anymore. It's like because an audience will stand for really, really weird reasons.
Right.
They'll stand you like just because they like you, and they'll buy your books, and they could, it's like, it's like, nah, it's like we stand a comics queen or whatever, and it's like, I okay, you know, you know, um, and it's like, but in the end, the common denominator is audience.
Right.
I mean, so it's like, I couldn't even, so it's like, look, I really do think it's incredibly important, because I am biased on this issue. That story, if for me, story is more important. Actually, story is everything, because it's like, and even then, because I have this oh my goodness, I have this, I'm in a Kurt Vonnegut story all of a sudden. I have this example that I like using. There's these two manga that I was reading, right?
Right.
One of them, beautiful artwork, but I couldn't read the story. The story was very amateurish. It was very childish. And it was just a story that I really, really wasn't into.
Right.
And it's like, no matter how good the artwork was, I really couldn't get through the book, because the story was just bad. And and I found it unengaging. Obviously they were writing for an age level that was way below mine. It's like, I don't know, maybe they were writing it for like teens or something, because I couldn't get into it. I have a friend. Then I have a second manga where the story is exactly what I wanted to read. Like, I would read this story, but the artwork is so bad, the story is not enough for me to power through the bad artwork.
Right.
So the first one, we have great artwork where the story is so bad, the artwork can't save it.
Right.
And then I have the second book where the story is not enough.
Right. Well, because the story is the art is the story. It all it merges. Like, there is no one or the other.
Right. Like, it has to work together. Like know, it's like, if you want me to, it's like, I want to read your story, but your artwork is no, your artwork does nothing for me. Ask for the audio version. But in the end, though, I think that's why it's like, I've been making this kind of like, that I've been reading more books than I've been reading comics, because at least with a book, I'm not distracted by the artwork. Right? It's kind of weird, because like, well, it's just the writing. It's like, even if the cover is kind of weird, if the writing is something that I want to read, more likely than not, I'm getting what I want in that story without having like really dubious artwork distracting me from it. Right? So I couldn't even say with confidence it's the story, stupid. No, it's the audience, stupid. If we're talking about sales, it's the audience. If you're talking about creating, I don't know, even then I can't really say that anymore. Creating something that people remember you by.
It's still the story, because the audience, what are they attracted to?
Right. Yeah. I know
what brought them.
Well, whenever we talk, like, it's like, look, it's like Melissa says, you get the audience you deserve, right?
Right.
I want an audience that reads my work and enjoys the artwork that goes with it. Right. But at the same time, I'm also creating a version of it where you can just read it.
Right.
And you'll have just enough artwork to kind of like give you the visual that I want you to have, but you only see it once, and then the rest is just the story. You're just doing the prose. You're just reading the prose, as opposed to having to go through a story where you have to look at the artwork, because it's the only way it works. And then it's like we would go into this conversation about, and then like does the quality of the artwork really matter? Quality is subjective, because Jose also said this, that also like is always in the back of my head, that it's like, yeah, Sturgeon's law is 95% of everything is crap, but it depends on who you ask. It changes from person to person. That 95%, that 5% that's good changes with every person you ask. It's because I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. You will never convince me that Neil Gaiman is an entertaining or even a good writer. I don't like him at all, and that's notwithstanding of everything that's going on. I've never liked Neil Gaiman. I've never liked Neil Gaiman.
Or I did.
It's like, again, it's kind of like J.K. Rowling, right? It's like, I never liked this woman. I thought Harry Potter was stupid. I tried reading it and I couldn't get through the first 10 pages. I thought it was stupid. It's like, this is a baby book. I'm not reading this. You will never convince me otherwise. Nonsense notwithstanding. This is me separating the art from the artist, right? It's like, I think your book sucks. Period. It doesn't matter. The fact that you're fucking weirdo just makes it easier. But I never liked your work anyway. So, it's kind of like you can't boycott something you never bought from to begin with,
Right.
So they're definitely, these people are not in my 5%. Watchmen, you are never going to convince me that's a good book.
Yeah.
Never. Okay. I mean, honestly, if there was a book, there were two books that I think were actually better than Watchmen, and that was Batman the Cult and Mike Grell's The Longbow Hunters. Like, those two books from that time period, those are the books I gravitate. Those are the two books that'll be in my 5%. But Watchmen is not there. Dark Knight was okay. It's like, okay, what's the big deal, right? And it's like, I don't, like I said, it's like, okay, it's like, it was Batman the Cult, Mike Grell's The Longbow Hunters, Garcia Lopez, Cinder and Ash. Oh my God, it's like those are the books that changed my brain chemistry. Not Watchmen, not not Dark Knight. You'll never convince me. Never. Right. But there are people who it's like those books are in their everything. That's their everything.
Right.
So you can't even say, because then it's like we got into this conversation is that, because he went to see Megalopolis, the Francis Ford Coppola movie, right? Very polarizing movie. And this is supposedly Coppola's last movie. Like, he literally sold off half his winery in order to finance this movie because no studio would touch it. So he financed it himself. I don't know whether he distributed it himself, but this is pretty much like you leave an artist to their own volition, and this is what they make, right? Jose said that it was a bad movie, but he doesn't regret seeing it. Right. Because in the end, what he saw was art. And in the end, art exists for art's sake. Because Francis Ford Coppola had something to say. but maybe it's not to you that he has had to say it. Like he goes, maybe this is just Francis Ford Coppola having an internal dialogue with himself. Like he made a movie of it, but really it's not a movie for an audience, right? It's just art for art's sake. You know, and then because it's like he went with two friends and they were like, well, why does this movie exist? You know, why did he even make this movie? And Jose says, because it's art. It exists because it exists. He made it exist. That's why it exists. You know, and the funny thing is that we were just having a conversation about that because for some reason, like I was just kind of like thinking about this whole discourse about if art doesn't entertain, it doesn't need to exist. If art doesn't fit a certain parameter demanded by the audience, it doesn't need to exist. And what's sad is that there's a lot of artists who kind of like base decisions on that. Oh, if I can't make money off of this, there's no point doing it. Right? I mean, honestly, we see that all the time in, you know, in this indie comic circle. They put out a comic on Kickstarter. It doesn't do gangbusters on the first issue, and then you never see them again. Oh, well, it wasn't a success out the gate, so I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Right. And, you know, and before I'd be like, oh, okay, goodbye. And on certain things, I'm still like that. It's like, okay, then it's like, look, nobody said you had to make comics, right? Nobody said you had to do this. So if it doesn't work for you, don't push through it, right? Only push through it if it's something you actually do need to do. Like if you didn't make a goddamn dime off of your comic, but you still needed to do it, then that's what you need to do. But again, it's like the nature of art, right? Why does art exist? It's like, well, if an artist exists, art exists. The audience notwithstanding. You know, it's kind of like people who look at, you know, Goya's work, you know, El Greco, you know, it's like, and they go, why do these grotesqueries exist? Because sometimes art has to show you things you don't want to see. You know, and it's like, I don't know how much of that I can really apply to a lot of commercial art, you know, because that's also a thing that we kind of have to consider. Are you making, like, there's a, like, only recently, I didn't know this difference, right? The difference between fine art and commercial art is that commercial art is art literally done for money, for commerce. And fine art is artwork literally done for yourself. You know, yeah, you'll have that overlap, but the intention of fine art is that you're doing it for yourself. And if it happens to find an audience, that's a bonus. While the whole purpose of commercial art is to cater to an audience. So I guess it's like, that's kind of like back to where we were talking about, do you have a monetized hobby or are you a business? Right? So maybe it's kind of the same thing. So it's like, technically, if we're just going by that two criteria, my comic is fine art. As weird, you know, using it broadly, using the term broadly, because I do have a bachelor's in fine art. So I guess my diploma went for something, right? Was worth something, right? So the commercial viability of my comic is not really, so the commercial viability of my comic is not really a priority for me. I mean, it is in a certain way. It's like, okay, can I make money on Kickstarter? Which I do, you know, just enough, but you know, Lou says I have to create images whether they sell or not. Right. So it's like we're fine artists, right? But then you have the other side of people creating comics for the sole purpose of being commercial.
Right.
Right. I mean, even in the indie comic space, you know, it's like indie comics just means that you don't have a large corporation backing you. That in the end, that's probably what the real definition, like you're self-financing.
Right.
You know, and you know what? And it's like, and even if you're with a small indie publisher that still requires you to do everything that you're doing yourself, you're still self-financing. It's just like you're paying with something else. And also you're not really with a publisher, you're just with a middleman, a printer middleman. Essentially, right. You know, they're not a publisher. If you still have to do shit yourself that you would have been doing without them, and pretty much the end result is the same, you're with a printer middleman. You're not with a publisher. That was something that I read off of Colleen Duran's blog post recently. You know, it's like, you know, where she pretty much said, it's like, look, it's like a publisher is supposed to offer you benefits, not necessarily like benefits in terms of they're going to be doing something for you that you cannot do yourself. Like are they distributing you? Are they, you know, because
PWB, publishers with benefits.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Exactly. You know, they're supposed to be doing something for you that you feasibly cannot do yourself. Like they have a wider range of marketing. They have wider distribution, right? At least, you know, that should be the minimum, right? If they don't have either of that, you just have a printer middleman.
You
know?
And somebody charging you a percentage for your own IP.
Exactly. You know, so you know, that's kind of like, you know, I don't know. What was I saying? What was my point? I don't know.
Like,
are we doing art? Yeah. Are you doing, it's like, yeah. Is it fine art? Is it commercial art? Are you doing, and it's like, are we doing our stuff because it's like we're a business or a monetized hobby? Is it commercial art? I mean, because it's like, if your goal is to make a commercially viable product, then you have to do what it takes to make it commercially viable. You know, I mean, it's like, because that kind of like is the whole point of it, right? But if you're creating artwork, if you're creating fine art, if you're creating independent art, if you're creating, we're doing on comics as a glorified, as not glorified hobby. It is a hobby, a monetized hobby, right? You kind of have to also realize there are consequences to each of these choices, you know, because it's like with a monetized hobby, I know that there's only so far I can get in a commercial sphere because I'm not making work that's commercial. You know, I'm not doing anything that looks like an Erstaz Image comic from the 90s. I'm not making anything that looks like something Marvel or DC print.
Right.
So there's a commercial inviability my book has that I have to accept. You know, that I can't fight against that. You know, my artwork is the way it is. My writing quality is the way it is. And there's only so much I can maneuver in that space. I am not going to be drawing like Jim Lee ever. I'm not going to be drawing like Arthur Adams ever. That's never going to happen. You know, so again, it's like there's a certain inviability that I have. So I have to work around that. You know, it's like, that's why I'm looking at anime conventions and going back to fantasy conventions and going, it's like, oh, you know, maybe literary conventions, you know, book conventions, you know, is something that I should look more towards instead of indie comics, right? But if your whole thing is making a commercially viable comic, then there's certain parameters you have to work in too. You know, you do have to cater to an audience. You do have to follow the trends and what they are, you know, and you have to commit to that. You have to commit to following those trends and going where that audience you want to cater to is, you know. It's like, you know, it's like if you're, you know, and like, I don't know, to use an example, use a very obvious example, right? It's like if, you know, like in, I don't know, I guess like Lady Death has created a standard for selling books on Kickstarter. Even though I think it's a fake standard, but it's a standard that a lot of people aspire to, right? He's following, you know, but there are people who it's like they want to be Pulido without doing what Pulido does.
Right.
Right. And it's like, that's not how that works. You know, it's like, you know how they're jealous of your success, but they're not jealous of your journey, of what it took you to get there. Right.
Right.
And it's like, if you know you're in a space. Oh, we were watching, I caught a little bit of Mr. McMahon, the documentary that's on Netflix right now, right? Tale of two women in this particular one. You had Trish Stratus, who she did this entire crazy storyline with Vince McMahon, where she was pretending to be his mistress and he was abusing her and he was abusing his wife. And it was like the whole thing. The 90s were a very, very different time, right?
Right.
And there was this one incident that they did. I don't remember if it was on a pay-per-view or on one of the regular shows, where Vince McMahon, like, they're arguing. It's like, oh, you're not my mistress anymore. It's like, oh, it's like, you know, you cheated on me. And it's like, you know, if you want to, you know, it's like, if you're really sorry, you have to beg for my forgiveness, right? It's like, I want you to prove it, right? So he demands that she gets down on all fours and barks like a dog. And she does it. You know, I mean, it's just like, you know, it's wrestling kayfabe shit. You know, it's like, you know, and, you know, it's like she's on her, you know, she's on all fours. She's barking like a dog. It's, you know, like I said, it was a very different time. Right. And then he tells her to strip. Right. Now, mind you, Trish Stratus is a fitness model. This is wrestling. Right. You know, it's like, it's kind of like, you know, everybody strips eventually, right? So she takes off her clothes. She's in her bra and panties. And it's like, so this whole storyline where it's like he's literally giving the audience a tit show, as they had mentioned it. This is what one of the guys called it that they were interviewing. Gave him a tit show, you know, on WrestleMania, right? And they interviewed Trish Stratus about the entire thing. She goes, yeah, there was a lot of crazy things. I can't believe that we did. But she goes like, well, what the fuck? It was just all acting. Who cares? Right? Yeah. Was it outrageous? Yeah. But who cares? You know, it was acting. I mean, what's funny was that entire scene completely reminded me of a scene out of 9.5 Weeks, Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger, right? It's like, you know, right, exactly. And there's a
how
scene
many times did I pause?
You're right. And there's this scene in the movie that gets consistently edited out when they try to do like broadcasts of this shit. Right? Not the scene where he's slamming her up against the wall. Not the scene where he's fucking her on the steps of the stairwell, right? Not that. No, the scene they edit out is when they have a fight and he throws money on the floor and he tells her to go on her hands and knees and pick up that money. Like he's just making a trail. I don't even remember what the fight was, but pretty much it was pretty much similar to what Vince McMahon and Trish Stratus were acting out. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they had gotten the idea from that, honestly. And he's throwing the money on the floor, and Kim Basinger, I think, has to pick up the money with her mouth. You know? Hot as fuck. But that's the scene that gets consistently edited out. Right? So that's what I thought of. So Trish is like going, oh yeah, but here's the thing: nobody is saying that Kim Basinger was exploited for doing that scene, Right?
Right.
So the interviewer was trying to like say the same thing to Trish Stratus. Oh, did you feel exploited? And she was like, wait, we were acting.
Right.
It's like, we were acting. What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, was it weird? Yeah, looking back on it now, sure. You know, I mean, we were doing, it's like they were doing shit on WWF on television that no one would ever think of putting on TV now. And mind you, wrestling was considered children's entertainment. And this was the shit that they were showing, right? Different time, right? Then they start talking about Sable, right? Another, this other woman where pretty much she had like the same thing. She was supposed to be the sexy ring girl. You know, she was the sexy mascot or whatever the fuck. And she would come out and she would wear like these Fredericks of Hollywood. You know, like she looked like a Playboy model. I think eventually she became a Playboy model. I don't remember, but it's like, you know, but that was pretty much the vibe. That's what she was like, you know, but she left. I think like they said that she was the most popular and the most short-lived character on WWE, or at the time WWF. Because she left.
She absolutely did model for Playboy.
Yes, right. So that was kind of like the thing that she was playing up. But I think she left after a year and a half.
Right? Yeah, it was short.
Yeah, it was short. And then, but after she left, she sued Vince McMahon for sexual harassment, for assault, and blah, 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 and the whole thing. She had this whole lawsuit going on, right? I don't know the ending of it. I just saw that clip. Right. And then it's like they showed a clip of her on a talk show, Jay Leno, where she was saying that she was forced to do a lot of the things. Well, forced / coerced. Because honestly, if your choice is, well, you either do this or you lose your job, that's coercion. That's not a choice.
Right.
You know? Right, Neil? And you know, and it's like, you know, and it's like, she was saying that it's like, it's like, oh, she was forced and she felt very exploited. And it's like, you know, and then it's like Jose had to go do something. So he had to start his show. So he turned it off. And I go, that's really strange. It's like, here you have two women doing the exact same thing for the exact same boss, but they both had very different experiences looking back on it. You know, where it's like Trish says, no, fuck it. We were fucking around. It was acting. Who cares? Right. And then Sable, I forgot her real name. Well, Trish isn't her real name either. So Sable was saying how she was very exploited and demeaned. And I go, wow, but if you were to see it, they were doing the exact same thing.
Right.
And it's like, wow, what is that fine line? You know, because it's not like Vince McMahon was treating either of them differently.
Right.
You know, I mean, was Vince McMahon an asshole? Yeah, probably. But it's like, I don't think he was treating them differently. But like, what is it that made Trish say, yeah, we were just fucking around, and yeah, it was kind of stupid if you really think about it. But, you know, hey, it got ratings or whatnot. What's the big deal, right?
It was a job, right?
Right. And Sable's like going, oh, I was exploited. I felt victimized. And blah, blah,
their
blah,
individual will.
Right. Well, true. But also, here's kind of the thing when we're talking about, like, going back to my point about fine art and commercial art, right?
Right.
Like, my whole thing is like, how did you join Vince McMahon's company not knowing that this was going to be expected of you?
You got the job you applied for.
Right. It is like you got the job you applied for. You know, it's kind of like getting a job at a strip club and then going, what do you mean I have to do what on what?
I have to take my clothes off?
Right. Yeah. It's like, no, that's ridiculous. Right. So bringing it back to comics, because I had a point with this. You want to create commercial art, right? You're coming into comics making commercial art. You want to be the next Marvel, the next DC, the next Brian Pulido, whatever the fuck you want to do, right? Your commercial art. You come in and it's like, okay, what are the trends on Kickstarter, right? It's like, okay, TNA comics, TNA comics. That's the trend. Those are the books that, if you really want to make between $10,000 and $50,000 on Kickstarter, those are the books that dominate that category. Right. You're in to make money. You're in to make commercial art, right? The whole purpose of commercial art is to make money. But you create everything else but that.
Right.
And then complain, why are those books more popular? And again, you knew the job was dangerous when you came in, right? If your whole point was to make a comic that made money, and this is the trend, then logic dictates that you follow that trend. I mean, am I off base here?
No.
So if you're going to complain that your book is not commercially viable, but you're not following the trends that Kickstarter is laying out for you, then what are you doing? Right? Then are you doing fine art? Is this a book that you would have done regardless? Then you're doing fine art, and you have to accept you have to accept the consequences of that, right? But if you're coming in out the gate saying, I want to make money off of this book, I'm making commercial art, and this is what the audience is demanding, right? Like wanting to be a boxer and then getting mad you got punched in the face, right? Then it's like, what? Then there's a disconnect between what it is you want to accomplish in this organization, it's not an organization, in this sphere, I guess.
Right.
I guess in Sable's case, it was like there's a disconnect between what she wanted to accomplish in that organization and what the organization actually was.
Right.
Right. So it's like you're coming into comics wanting to make a commercially viable comic, but you're not willing to follow the trends that kind of lead in the direction that you want to go in. And it's like, and now you're saying, oh, it's an unfair advantage. Anybody can sell a book with TNA in it. And it's like, oh, it's like, it's this, it's that. Why are they so popular? And this, and it's like, you saw that when you came in. It's like, yeah.
Why are you surprised? Why are you angry, little man?
Right. And it's like, and that's kind of like the thing that this kind of like whole thing was making me think of, where it's like, okay, it's like I knew that limitation coming in, but that wasn't the book I wanted to make. So that's not the book I made. Now, I tried making one, but I made it on my own terms. Viking Slut was my TNA experiment. It was a lot of fun. I don't regret 1 minute of that. It took me, it's like, look, it was a year preparation, the longest 30 days I've ever had to run, but we had a lot of fun. I really did have a lot of fun on that campaign. I learned a lot, but also, again, it's like, I have to accept the limitations of the book that I produce.
Right.
Yes. Was there a time where I was like going, oh, fuck those TNA books, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing and that. Yeah, I was like that too. Now it's like, do whatever the fuck you want, because I'm not interested in
doing the same thing.
We're not doing the same thing. So I'm not going to expect or be entitled to the same results.
Right.
So So what's my point? I don't know what my point is. I don't know. Maybe the point is that we should be more realistic. We should really be more realistic with our goals on what we're doing and why we're doing it. Are you making art? Are you making fine art? Are you making commercial art? And also the thing too is that I really do have to stop looking at other people's work and then going, why does this exist? Because in the end, it's like, well, it's commercial art.
Right.
Its purpose for existing is completely different than why my book exists. So in the end, my opinion doesn't matter as to, well, it never did anyway. It's like, look, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. That's on you. And my opinion, I'm just another rando on the internet as far as everybody's concerned. My opinion shouldn't affect your life at all.
I, on the other hand, am a god.
Oh, right.
If I like it, you better like it too.
Right. No. It's like, look, that's not to say you're not being judged, but that's my issue, not yours.
That's a me problem.
Yeah, that's a me problem. But I just think that a lot of people, I think what I'm just really trying to get at, I think that a lot of people would find a lot of their problems disappearing if they were just more honest with why they're doing what they're doing. And really get to the bottom of what the actual issue is that they're trying to solve with this medium. And it's like, if you're doing art, you know what? That's the thing. It's all art. It's fine art, commercial art. They're just different grades of art depending on what that art is supposed to do. It's like I go to a museum to be inspired. I go to Michael's to find something that'll match my sofa. Art serves different purposes, and there's some art that's there to make you see, to make you think, to make you, it's like Lewis. So I was doing TNA stuff at one point because I was being told that's what would sell. I didn't feel comfortable with it. Now I draw what I like after divorcing his ass. There you go.
And you know what's fucking starting to prove hilarious is everybody has always said that. And then everybody went in and dove in and tried to do the TNA stuff. And guess what? They're finding out that it's not just
right.
TNA.
It's not actually right. Right.
It's still the fucking audience.
It's still the audience. You still, even if you're doing TNA, you still have to be doing something that the audience wants from you. That's kind of the trick. It's kind of like with fan art, right? Because fan art's also another thing that everybody says, oh, that's the only way you can make money at conventions, but the fan art still has to resonate on a certain level. You can have an entire artist alley full of Deadpools and, and you will still see very particular people making the money on Deadpool art.
Right.
Not everybody is going to make money on Deadpool art.
Nope.
I know I didn't, right? Because there still has to be that resonance. It's the same thing when you're doing and especially if you're doing commercial art. You just can't come in out of the gate with a TNA book and think you're going to get Polito's success. It's like, no, your book still has to resonate with the audience.
You hit 2000.
Right. Your TNA book has to still resonate with an audience. It still has to be different enough that you will build an audience on that they want to know about your character on top of wanting to see her naked. I mean,
I like her for her personality.
Right. Yeah. Right, exactly. It's like, yeah, she's hot, but she's a chicken head. Right?
Right.
Are you making a chicken head book? It's very fickle, It's like, I don't know. Now I'm definitely not making any sense, but
it makes perfect sense to me.
I don't know. It's Monday. I got shit to do. So maybe that's just what it is. I got too much on my brain now. I got to organize everything. How about you, Nita? What you got?
Same. Today, all about getting shit in order and organized.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So Nita decides who lives or dies. Yes, she does actually.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Oh my goodness. So any final thoughts, Nita? I think I've babbled long
I have
enough.
no final thoughts. We've been going. We're good.
Yeah, we've been going. Yeah. So
we make a bazillion
right.
points.
Look, I hadn't had any thoughts. I had too many thoughts for the last hour and a half. None of it making sense. So if you are catching us on the replay, hello, and I'm sorry.
It made perfect sense.
Right.
It made perfect sense. Stop pretending to be something you aren't. Be genuine and know who your audience is. There you go.
Well, know who you are first.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing. It's like people are not understanding what they're doing this for. And so it makes it harder to find an audience, because it's like, well, if you don't know what you're making this for, how are you going to know what audience to target?
So you got to do some work and figure things out. There's always work involved, like this one. I still love this.
Jesus Christ.
It doesn't make itself.
No, it doesn't make itself. No, it does not. Oh my goodness. So enough of that. Enough of that. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us in the chat. Thank you so much, all the beautiful eyeball people leaving all of your icons. Oh, we got a lot of icons in the all your little emoji things from Facebook, I guess. It's a whole bunch of them. Thank you so much. Like I said, if you are joining us from Facebook, if you're joining us from LinkedIn, come on over to YouTube, join the sexy people in the chat, all the sexy people in the chat. And because it's the easiest way to converse with us if you wanted to put your 2 cents in this economy, into the conversation. And while you're here, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever any of our shows go live. If you want to learn more about me and my artwork and my upcoming campaigns and all that other stuff, you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites, but I mostly post to Facebook if you're interested in seeing sketches and current work in progress updates. And you can also check me out on YouTube for an entire archive of 600 plus videos of live streams, draw streams, of how-tos, of tutorials, of speed paints, of whatever it is you want to see, all art related. On my channel at Daphne Lage Art, Lage Art. And remember that you could also catch my semi-weekly art live streams on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, every other Wednesday. So that means that I should have one coming up this Wednesday. 2 hours of me just working and talking to the chat, whatever you want to talk about. You thought this was random? We get random on that show. It's kind of like being at a convention, but you don't have to worry about blocking my table. So, and remember, you can also read Eager Raven, Air the First Unicorn, for free, uploading every day, Monday through Friday, and on Webtoons every Tuesday, starting from the very beginning. Eager Raven is now for free on Webtoons. Like I said, starting updating every Tuesday. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales, TAILSonline.com. And not only can you read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free, but you can catch up on the latest story arc, Tears of the Mother, which is also currently uploading Monday through Friday. And also free on Webtoons as well from the very beginning, except Tall Tales updates every Thursday. Also, quick update. Jose Calderon, our JD Calderon, has the Oswald Chronicles back on Kickstarter again. It is a full color version of Passing Queens and Making Homes, issues 1 through 6, this time in full color. So it is our first full color trade paperback. So it is on Kickstarter right now. The link is in the chat, but you could just head on over to the show notes. You can head on over to Kickstarter, and you could just type in the Oswald Chronicles. Go to JD Calderon's list of campaigns, and you'll find it right there because he forgot to name it the Oswald Chronicles again. So, but it's there. It's on Kickstarter right now. So I know it's a short campaign, so make sure you pledge to it. So that's it for me. That's it for Nita. That's it for the chat. That's it for the eyeball people. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, so we'll see. So definitely I'll see you guys on Wednesday with my live stream where I will be getting back to work because I'm scheduling it in. So thank you so much, everybody. And in the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work. Because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.